In this part of the world, when we hear Kashmir, we're more likely to think of Led Zeppelin than what some call the longest and largest military occupation in recent history. But is it actually a military occupation? Following years of protests, political organization, and heightened civil unrest, the British decided that 1947 was the year to leave India after almost 200 years of colonial rule. Part of the plan for the subcontinent's independence was to partition the country, India for the majority Hindus and East and West Pakistan for minority Muslims who had been seeking political representation for decades. This meant we not only saw the biggest mass migration of the 20th century, but also the bloodiest, with over 1 million believed to have lost their lives. So where does Kashmir fit into all of this? Well, in 1947, Kashmir was an independent state and the leaders had a choice in where it could go. And it had a majority Muslim population but was led by Hindu Maharaja Hari Singh. But instead of following suit with other Muslim majority states, Singh would go on to join India. That triggered a 7-decade-long conflict between India, Pakistan, and once in a while China. And while the United Nations has stipulated that a vote should be held in Kashmir to determine the state's future, guess what? Neither India nor Pakistan has ever allowed it. Today, Jammu and Kashmir is India's only Muslim majority state. Most of the unrest that we hear about occurs in the part known as the Kashmir Valley. Part of the original state is with Pakistan. It's called Azad Kashmir. China and India both claim Aksai Chin in the most northeastern part of Kashmir. Now, Kashmir holds strategic, symbolic, and resource importance for all three countries. For Pakistan, Kashmir is water. Pakistan is one of the most water-stressed countries in the world, and Indian control of Kashmir means Indian control of water that Pakistan desperately wants. India depends on Kashmir's Muslim-majority character, which lends legitimacy to its claim as a secular state. For Pakistan, the claim to Kashmir also lends legitimacy to the two-nation theory, that Muslims in India needed their own state. And for China, control over northeastern Kashmir means control of a region that connects Tibet with the Muslim Uyghur province of Xinjiang. India also sees Kashmir as a buffer zone between itself and Pakistan and China. As a result, India and Pakistan have fought a total of 3 wars over Kashmir, the most recent being the 1999 Kargil War. While India claims that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, its grip on Kashmir has been bolstered by its strong, often violent military presence in the state, and the movement for Kashmiri independence from India has only grown. So is India's presence in Jammu and Kashmir a military occupation like Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories? Not under international law, but many Kashmiris would say it definitely feels like it, with hundreds of thousands of Indian security forces in the region. Checkpoints, curfews, violent crackdowns on protesters, and disappearances are just some of the hallmarks of India's military presence in Jammu and Kashmir. For India, continuing a military presence in Kashmir has been seen as necessary to deter violence from Kashmiri separatists. It's also seen as necessary to deter Pakistani involvement and support for armed Kashmiri resistance, something the Pakistani government has also admitted to. 1/3 of those killed since the beginning of Kashmiri separatist violence in the late 80s are believed to be civilians. The number of total civilians and combatants killed since then has varied from 47,000 to 100,000, depending on your sources. So is it time for all Kashmiris to finally have the opportunity to vote for the course of their own future?